Hi guys, my name is Mariana. Today I'm going to be doing my mid-year freakout tag. This is literally my favorite tag that I do every year. I usually do it I usually am so excited to have to do it early in the year, but I haven't really been in the filming mode. But I miss filming and I was always going to record this. But let's just get into it, okay? So far I've read 138 books. I need to get to 150 soon because I want to read 300 books by the end of this year, so I kind of need to pick it up a little bit. But also, these are questions that I found off a blog, so I don't really know if some of these questions are actually, I can't remember if these questions are the actual questions on the tag. I don't like how far the camera is from me. So much better. So the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far? So I have 3 answers for this question. So the first answer is TJ Powar Has Something to Prove, and I just read this one last month. It is a YA book, so you know it's good if a YA book is in my best books of the year. It's about a girl named TJ Powar who was on a debate team when a picture of her and her cousin becomes a meme and people are making fun of her cousin's body hair. So she decides she's gonna stop shaving, and she doesn't really know what the end goal is and what the point is. She just knows that she has something to prove and she is going to prove it. That is a great pitch. That was great. I don't think I've ever talked about a book that well. But yeah, I read that this year. I absolutely loved it. As someone who does not like shaving, and I don't shave unless I genuinely have to, I loved it. Okay, for all my hairy girls out there, this book is for you. Okay, and then I have Hellbent because duh, Hellbent is amazing. Hellbent is a sequel to Ninth House, which is one of my favorite books of all time. And Darlington in this book was just so sexy. Darlington was already my book boyfriend in the first book, but this one just really solidified. And I'm gonna need Lee Bardugo to write more adult books because she really knows what she's doing. Okay. The next book I have is While Justice Sleeps. This is a political thriller. It is about this girl who works for this justice, and the justice dies and leaves her name and everything. And so the family and the police starting to think was this his mistress? Did she kill him? Is she suspicious? What's going on here? And he really just leaves her this mission that she basically has to go on to end up solving something that he was working on. And it is written by a Black author, and it is just so good. The cover is beautiful, and I'm so happy I love this because when I wish I would have bought it when I was working at Target, because I would always look at the book and I'll be like, I want to read this, and I just knew I was gonna like it, but I was just scared to buy it. And then I read it and now I love it, and now I don't own it still, so but whatever. Okay. Best sequel you've read so far. So this one is 2 answers but 1. So it's the Us Against You and The Winners, which is book 2 and 3 and Beartown. At the end of last year, Beartown was my last book I read of the year, and then I started off the year reading Us Against You and The Winners. So Beartown is about this small little hockey town, and it follows this tragedy that happens in this town, and it starts off with a kid taking a gun into the woods and holding another kid at gunpoint, and then it also trigger warning for SA, but a young girl is SA'd, and she says it was one of the guys on the hockey team who's a really good player. So now all of the town is taking their anger out on her and just really upset with her, and they don't want to admit that this is what happened. And you follow this story and how this crazy little fucked up town, and it's just they're just so good. They are sad, but they didn't make me cry or anything, but I love them, so I highly recommend it. And then number 3 is new release you have not read yet, and for this one I would say The Will of the Many. This is on my summer TBR, but it is a fantasy book that takes place in a school. I don't know if it's a magic school or a dark academia type book, but I just know that it takes place in the school and I'm excited for it. I love when adult books take place in school. That just feels that is a sign a book is written for me. If it's an adult and if it's written in school. Okay, that's how I know it's for me. The next question is anticipated release for the second half of the year, and for this one I have two. This one, the first one is kind of an anticipated release but also not really. It's called Assistant to the Villain. I know an author on TikTok has been promoting this book, and I've been like, really excited about it. It sounds fun. It's literally about, you know, I've been looking for like more superhero books, and it's actually funny because the second book is a superhero book as well. I love superheroes, I love superhero stuff, and so I've been wanting more superhero books, so I am excited for Assistant to the Superhero Villain. I think it comes out sometime in September. And then the next book is Right Hand, which still does not have a cover yet, but it's coming out in October. And this is the sequel to Hinch. Hinch is about this girl who is fighting this. She's a henchman, and she is fighting the superhero, and he ends up like injuring her and breaking her legs, and she is so upset by it, and she goes to like the police to like sue him or something like that, and the police kind of just like don't care because he's a superhero. And so now she's trying to seek revenge against him, and she ends up working with the supervillain, and they end up like sparking this romance that like isn't really a thing but kind of is a thing, like the last page. And so like I'm so glad it's getting a sequel, although I was happy with like just being like they're together now, like in my mind just being like yeah, they're together now, like they're a couple, even though it never was written in the book. I was totally happy with that, but it's getting a sequel, and I am just so freaking excited. The next question is biggest disappointment, and I'm sure I have other books, but I couldn't think of any other. In the first book I thought I was Half a Soul, because I just read this one in May, and I mean I soft reading this book at the beginning of the year, and I kind of knew I wasn't gonna like it. Just because I'm not really into like cozy fantasies, no matter how much I keep trying to read them, like they just seem like something I like. But I need books that have plot. Like I'm sorry, I can't read a book with characters just walking around picking flowers and lollygagging all day. Like I can't just read a book because the characters are so great and amazing. Like I really need both. I need plot, and like if it's not gonna give me good characters, it needs to give me plot. But I can't read a book that just has good characters. I need to have a plot. That is the most important part to me. I need something to keep me entertained. I need something to keep me going. If a book doesn't have that, then you've lost me. And so, needless to say, this book didn't have that. Most cozy fantasies don't. That's why they're cozy fantasies. The genre's not for me. I keep trying. I keep failing. But, you know. Whatever. Biggest surprise, okay, I would say, so this year I got into Star Wars. I got in my Star Wars era, and so I started reading the Star Wars book, and I will say Lost Stars by Claudia Gray really surprised me. I mean, I kind of knew I was gonna like it once I got into the fandom, but it's a YA book, which, you know, I don't normally love those, and it just really surprised me because I didn't think I would love a Star Wars book as much as I love that book. Like I literally love that book. Like honestly, I recommend it even if you aren't into Star Wars, because it is such a beautiful story. It has such a beautiful love story to it, which Star Wars kind of doesn't do love, and like it's just that girl. The next two questions I don't really have answers to. So the next question is newest favorite author, and as you guys know, or if you don't know, then I have this rule where I have to read 3 books by an author and give them all 5 stars, and they cannot be in a series. And so I've either haven't read 3 books by an author, or I have read 3 books by an author and they all haven't been 5 stars. So I still am years of reading and I still don't have a favorite author, but that's okay because I have like my go-to authors. Like I want to say like Margaret Rogerson, like Tessa Bailey, Talia Hibbert, Lee Bardugo. Yeah, like authors like that. Like I'll pretty much read anything they write, even though I don't always love them. And then I have newest favorite character. Don't really have a favorite character, I don't think. It's just like for the next question. Oh, newest fictional crush. I don't have a newest fictional crush. Newest fictional crush and newest favorite character. Like yeah, I don't have any. Like, first of all, it takes a lot for you to become a book boyfriend. I don't think I've had an actual book boyfriend. Like I have like a newest fictional crush. I try to answer this question every year, but I haven't had a fictional boyfriend since I want to say 2 years ago when I read the Addicted to You series and decided that Connor was my fictional boyfriend. But I haven't had one since then. So I don't really have like a new fictional character either. I don't really have like a character. I'm trying to think and I'm seriously blanking. Like I can't think of a favorite character. It takes a lot to become a favorite of mine. Like I really like when I have a favorite, I have a favorite because I want people to know like this is something that I stand by. Like I can't just stand by anything and have people like reading anything and then being like, this is this bitch's favorite character. I mean, I guess, well, I would say a newest fictional crush would be Anakin Skywalker, but I don't know if that counts because I watched the movie first, and like I haven't really read a book with him in it. But okay, so that doesn't count. But yeah, so I still don't have an answer. Like I said, it takes a lot for me to call something my favorite because I know that people take that as recommendations, and so like I know if people are going to be reading something that I essentially recommended, then it's gonna have to be good and it's gonna have to change their life, you know. And that's just something that I have to stick by now. A book that made you cry. I don't cry when I read, surprisingly, because when it's like that time of the month for me, I'll cry at any given moment. Like I'll cry at anything. But like I guess I haven't really read a lot. Like I don't know, I guess I really haven't read anything that, yeah, I haven't cried at a book in years. I'm actually thinking of doing a vlog where I purposely read sad books, but like that's just depressing. Like why would I want to do that, you know? I don't know. Okay, number 11, book that made you happy. I just read this book this month. I'll be talking about it more in depth in my wrap up, but My Roommate is a Vampire. I keep wanting to call it My Boyfriend's a Vampire because it is a romance book and they obviously end up dating, but it's called My Roommate is a Vampire. It's about this girl who is a human and she ends up coming across this really cheap apartment in a good place in Chicago. It's like $200 a month, and she's like, you cannot find anywhere like this anywhere. So she goes and she decides to live with him, and he is a vampire. They write each other letters because obviously he's a vampire, so he's asleep during the day and she's awake at night. She doesn't know he's a vampire, and they write each other letters, and like through like the letters that he writes, and like you can see like him, like it shows like his Google searches and things like that. So it's a little bit of mixed media, even though it's not really mixed media, or at least not in the ebook it wasn't. So like it's really funny, like you can see like the stuff that he Googles, and it's like clearly stuff that like a human would know, and like some of the things that he's texting his best friend is clearly things like a human should know. And it's just so, it's funny, it's hilarious, it's a funny book. And then obviously they end up falling in love, and it's more so friends to lovers, which like you guys know that I don't really care about friends to lovers that much, but it was just so funny. It was so funny. It reminded me of like the Vampire Diaries if the Vampire Diaries had like way less neck snapping, you know what I'm saying? And y'all know I love the Vampire Diaries, so I don't really just comparing stuff to the Vampire Diaries either. So y'all need to get into it. Next question is favorite book to movie adaptation, and I don't know if this counts, but I don't have anything else for this list. So Queen Charlotte, I read that this year. I absolutely loved it. It was a TV show first, and then it was adapted into a book, but the book adaptation is just amazing, and it encapsulates my favorite thing about reading a book that was adapted. I mean, about reading a book and watching something is the fact that I can be in the character's head. I can see exactly what they were thinking, how they felt in that moment, what they thought in that moment, and also you get like little scenes that you don't get in the movie or TV show, which is my favorite thing about reading the book. It's just like the best thing ever. Like having a book to movie adaptation is so great. Like that's also why I got into like the Star Wars books, because I wanted to know like how the characters thought and like what they thought in a specific exact moment. And it did not disappoint. So the last question is, what book do you need to read by the end of the year? And this book I did not answer because I mean, you guys know I'm pretty good at like keeping up with my anticipated reads, but I have I'm so behind on like my fantasy books, so I need to obviously get to those, like, you know, the fantasy books here. But and then I mean I have my summer TBR, which this is not my TBR area, plus the books by my bed or whatever. And then I mean I want to reread Dune before the end of this year, before Dune 2 comes out. I'm supposed to be annotating. I read like not even 50 pages and then gave up. No, I read 50 pages and then stopped reading. So I mean I want, oh, I guess I could say The Pirate of the Orange Tree. I've owned this book for years and I just never picked it up, mainly because I accidentally glued the pages together, and so I never really was gonna pick it up. But it got a sequel. First of all, I didn't know there was a black character in this book, so first of all, somebody should have told me that. I would have picked it up a lot sooner. but the sequel came out. The sequel is so pretty. And so yeah, I guess I could say the Pirate of Orange Tree is something I want to get to by the end of this year. And I really need to get back into my fantasy era so then I can feel more comfortable with reading fantasy, so then I can read this book. That is my goal for this year, is to get back into my fantasy books and then read this book by the end of the year so that I can read the sequel, because I know there's going to be other like prequel sequels, you know. So yeah, that is it for this video. Feel free to answer any of these questions, but what I'm most excited, what I really want to know is, what is your best book of the year, what is your worst book of the year, and what is your most anticipated book for the second half of this year. So yes, please answer those 3 questions. You don't have to answer all three of them, but please answer those. That is it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.